Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is, I don't know, Slippery Steve Barber. And joining me as always, my co-host, Delicious Dwaylen Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, you can already see we have a guest with us, Mr. Destiny. How are you, sir?
We're doing very good. How are you?
Doing all right. This is one of the Northern Wrestling Federation future stars, and I've seen him for about a year now.
Yep, a little over a year.
Yeah, because we were just discussing, I think the first match I remember seeing you, because you can't forget your ring entrance. Because when I'm hearing George Michael, Careless Whisper come on, I'm like, that's an interesting choice for theme music. And you come in, you got the mirror, but you got to have the mirror because you got the hair. So I mean,
of course,
yeah, so so we're just gonna talk about your career, and I'm gonna assume somewhat short because you're a future star, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily. Because I know I've enjoyed watching you in the ring, and I mean I see some great stuff for your future. So when they say future star, I mean I do agree with that. So, Dwayne, have you been able to catch any of his videos?
No, I haven't, but I definitely need to check those out.
Yep. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and give our show contact info, and then I will get yours as well. If you would like to email the show, it's armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us on Instagram also at armchairbookingpodcast. Find us on Twitter at bookingarmchair, but you can find us on TikTok at armchairbooking, which I was going to try to get some videos at the Mount Orb show, and I couldn't for a couple of reasons. One, the music that's playing, which the music is good, but
yeah,
it's hard to do a video when you got music playing in the background. And two, the internet connection there is just absolutely horrible.
Oh,
so yeah, it's bad. But that's our TikTok. If you are following us on YouTube, you already know this is the only video outlet that I know of that we're on. But as far as audio platforms go, we're just about any audio platform you can think of. If we're not there, let one of us know. We will do what we can to get ourselves added. You can find our merch, tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. You can also find Dwaylen on his Twitter at fat_daddy73. And his social media, like I said, he's Fat Daddy. He also has Big and Fat because the other half of that is Big Mama, which is his wife. That's what she calls herself, is Big Mama. Not to be confused with the Big Mama of the Northern Wrestling Federation. And yes, they have met online, but they have met. They have actually spoken to each other. It's kind of cool. But you can also find, that's where you can find Dwayne on his two channels, the YouTube and TikTok. And you can also find my other non-wrestling podcast, the Cubicle Chat. Just do a search for it. You should be able to find it. And that's all I have for us, I believe, Dwaylen.
Yep, I think you got it all.
All right, there. So, Mr. Destiny, how would somebody get a hold of you? Because we kind of picked up a cue from a different podcast. They started getting all the contact and social media stuff for their guests first because they discovered that not everybody listens to the end of a podcast. So we want to get you out there first. That way, nobody misses you.
Yes, of course. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Destiny NWF. That's mr.destiny NWF. I'm also on Facebook as well as Mr. Destiny as well. That's all the only two social medias I have at the moment. You can also find me at any Future Stars outlet, like any of those links, any of the Northern Wrestling Federation's kind of social medias. All that you can find. You can contact them. You can get a hold of me through them.
All right. Cool. So hopefully everybody got that. I'm actually following his page, and we're also friends, with your personal stuff too, which is kind of cool. And we'll talk a little bit about some more of your personal life after we cover all the wrestling stuff because, Dwayne, we have a very interesting. We have almost like a future Chris Jericho here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that in a very good way. So I'm a huge Jericho fan. But let me pull up my notes. So how long have you actually been in the business?
So I started training back in April 2022, and I made my first debut, my first match in the following August. That was with the Future Stars. That was against the Avenger. Beat him pretty handily. You know how it is. And ever since then, it's been all the way but up.
Cool. And do you have a sports background or another kind of performing background?
Sports. I mean, I played high school football and lacrosse. Wasn't really good at it, so I quit after my sophomore year. I was more of a performer as well, though. I play a lot of music.
Okay.
In a rock band around there called Unrivaled, so that's where my performance dictates from.
So stage fright really isn't in your vocabulary.
No. However, I will say playing music in front of people and wrestling is two different beasts. You think the transition's easier. Took me a minute to get used to it, but it worked out.
I'll just assume that when you're on stage playing your guitar and singing in front of people, you're not just wearing your underwear.
No, no, I definitely wear something more fitting for the stage.
Okay. I mean, hey, some places, I mean, that's what they may want. You never know.
Oh yeah, I've seen some crazy things at some locations around here. So
Yeah. So what were your inspirations for becoming a wrestler?
my inspirations mainly came from just watching like late 2000s WWE. That's when I was kind of like in early late grade school, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I watched a lot of that 07, 08 kind of stuff. And like I just like always loved it. Like it was fun. It was fun to watch. It was something different almost. And I fell in love with the world with that. So that's where a lot of my influences came from. I watched a lot of like, the Cena Randy Orton thing, the Ric Flair Shawn Michaels match at Mania was what
Yeah.
really got me hooked in.
Yeah.
It was stuff like that. It was just like different, unique, and I just fell in love with it. It was the performance aspect of it.
And you're from the Cincinnati area, correct?
Yes.
So I think it's probably a safe assumption that you're training at you started training at Bone Crushers.
Yes, that is very correct.
And oddly enough, I mean, I know there's other schools around, but you always hear, hey, go to Bone Crushers. They're the best ones. Because there's even a future star. I'm not going to say who he is, but I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. He drives like 2 hours one way just to go to Bone
Yeah.
Crushers.
Yeah,
And
it definitely is like one of the better schools around here. Absolutely. And it's definitely worth the 2 hours as well. Like that 2 hour drive and get the 2 hour, training from people like Cat, Pompano Joe is incredible, really. You learn so much from those guys.
yeah, and he said that he actually started in a school near his house, and he just wasn't feeling it, and so he said, you
Yes.
know what, I'm going to make that 2 hour drive, and I say he's actually doing pretty well, in the ring as well. He's catching on pretty quick.
hmm
Um, and so you mentioned Shawn Michaels and Flair, which that is a classic match, wouldn't you say, Dwayne?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
What have been some of your other favorite matches that you've watched, and some of your favorite matches that you've been involved with?
Oh, it's a very good question. I gotta think about that a little bit more. Um, a lot of the recent AEW matches, honestly, have been really good in my opinion. Like I think the Hangman CM Punk match was incredible. I like a lot of Cody Omega matches. I watched Will Ospreay for the first time a few months back against Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
I think my favorite match that I've done was probably my respect match with Swinger back as a Summer Sizzler.
Oh, yep, that was right. That was after you shaved his mustache.
Yep, yep.
I
He
mean,
almost
yeah.
got me back too, but I had to get out of there in a quick dash.
Dwayne, when was the last time you saw somebody get their mustache shaved in the ring?
Trying to think. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, right when I was starting to watch wrestling when I was a young kid, I remember Jimmy Valiant, Boogie Woogie Man, getting his beard
Yeah.
shaved. He
Yeah,
got
that's
it
true.
cut off.
Yeah.
Besides that, that's the only thing I can think of that even comes close. So, and actually, somebody let me know the other day, Jimmy Valiant, he is also a Northern Wrestling Federation. I don't remember if it's the heavyweight champion or the one of the titles he actually held for
Really?
for a short bit back in like, I don't know, like 2010, something like that. Yeah,
Wow.
he didn't hold it for very long, but yeah, it was Noah Gabriel is one who told me that. I was like,
Okay.
what?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you're friends with Noah Gabriel in the ring or not, but because
It's kind of a dweeb, but it's fine.
no. Oh, he's using the word dweeb, so I wonder who's hanging around, Dwaylen.
Yeah.
We've had Noah on a few times. We've had Sinclair on a few times.
Mhm.
We actually
Yeah.
had Sinclair and Noah together once.
Really?
That was a fun
Yeah.
show. Yep.
Yeah.
So in your short time, so a little over a year, basically, what you're saying that
Mhm.
you've been, um, but I know the NWF, not only do they travel, but they give you the opportunity to travel as well,
Yes.
to other states. So where all have you been able to go to wrestle?
So I'm actually probably the least traveled one in the locker room. Actually, I've only wrestled under the NWF umbrella. I haven't really had a chance to go out and like work for anyone else outside of the Cincinnati region.
Okay. So so Manor, Ludlow, Covington.
Those typical spots, yeah.
Yeah.
And of
Okay.
course, like you mentioned, Seaman, Ohio.
Yep. The match in the middle of the street in the Seaman Fall Festival with the stoplight above the ring.
Yep.
Because well, wasn't I texting you going, dude, they got a stoplight right
Yes.
above the ring. I don't think
Yeah, you sent me a picture of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you about Dwaylen. He is probably the biggest NWF fan that has never been able to see an actual match in person.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
because
a
he
big
was
supporter.
yeah, because I mean we support all wrestling, especially indie wrestling, because you know it's just like the big bands, you know, like your Motley Crues, your Def Leppards. I mean, they started
You
out.
got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere, and
Yep.
this is where you grow. So I'm going to get to the anniversary show because that's coming up on the 26th of November. But I want to talk first about what I just saw with you and actually I'll say he's my friend, Tiny Tim. The pose off. You know, so that was kind of fun to watch. I mean, I admit, you know, you got some, you know, you're kind of ripped. I don't know if you want to show the guns off right now, but
Nah,
for the
you
people,
got to pay for that.
oh, I got to pay. Dang it, Dwaylen, do we have any more money left in petty cash?
No,
No, we're
I think we're tapped out right now.
All right, so I'll have to find something. You know, just let me know your Venmo or your PayPal. So, or people can actually always go watch Bustin' Loose because there is footage of that there. So that comes out every Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Go watch it. And I will say this one comment because you know you got the baby oil, which comes into play later on, and never seen somebody so white put baby oil on.
It's very hard to get tan in the middle of Cincinnati, Steve.
It is,
especially right now. It's super cold. There's not really like beachside views you can go to.
That's true, and you know I haven't really seen that many tanning beds around either. You know, so, but you had a disadvantage before it even started because you're in Tiny Tim's hometown of Mount Orb, the big bustling metropolis of Mount Orb, where I also live, and you know, so I mean, I was feeling for you because I'm like, he's got people, you know, his hometown people who were going to be cheering for him.
I agree. It was a little unfair.
That was. I mean, they even had to point that out. Hey, he's in his hometown. I'm like, well, we kind of already know he's going to win this.
Yeah.
So is that why you attacked him with the band right after?
Well, yeah, it was rigged, obviously, of course. Like he's going to get his rematch if he won the pose off. Obviously, it was skewed in his favor. So I'm going to do what I can to, you know, make short work. I don't want to work that night. I thought I had a night off.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Well, he took the man's night off from him.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as what we like Tiny Tim, you mean we think he's a good dude, but man, he took his night off. But
so I did what I had to.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought the match itself was pretty good. You know, two guys, I mean, who are actually strong enough they can do power moves, but light enough they can also do aerial moves. And I've seen you do some good scientific moves because you've been, you know, using the figure 4 lately.
Oh yes,
and that was one thing I was hoping to see, but no. Baby oil came back into play. I'll just leave it at that. And I believe, yeah, they got that on Busting Loose as well. And Tim was covering his face like this, and it was pretty scary to watch, actually.
You know what they didn't get though, which skews my image, is that he was grabbing my resistance bands beforehand.
He was
showing the crowd that he was going to use against me. Luckily, the ref got in the way and took it away from him. So I was in self-defense in that action.
You just beat him to the punch.
Exactly.
I mean, he's not wrong, Willem. I mean,
no.
one other thing, you know, that you weren't wrong about, you know, before the match even started, when you called out all the fat guys of Mount Orb, and you know, my friend Randy is sitting beside me. We're looking at each other, going, "Yeah, he's not wrong." You know, we're not even going to try to argue about that one. We know, yeah, we're right here. We know, you know, so. you're not going to see me in a pose off. So, and to kind of steal Kirk Shepard's line, I don't have the six pack, I got the keg. Actually, I got a couple of them. Didn't used to be like that, but since I retired from the Air Force 9.5 years ago, I've gained about 100 pounds. But that's another story. But for the anniversary show, which I'm looking forward to going to, it's going to be down at Hits in Covington.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed, I don't think I saw you as that listing actually having a match, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be involved in something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I will be as well. If not, I'll probably be in the Dozer Memorial Battle Royal that I was in last year as well.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to the anniversary show is always fun every year. We're going to induct 2 Hall of Famers this year, so
Yep.
It's going to be a blast.
And last year I was there when they inducted Abyss.
Yes.
Now I've got to meet him. He's a super nice guy, super big dude too. Thank God he's nice because
dude's massive. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I would have had that belt with me, I didn't actually own that belt at the time. I would have taken it with me and have him autograph it because he actually held that belt at one time.
He sure did.
So now the 2 guys they are inducting this year, let me pull them up because I know I've seen one of them, but I can't guarantee I've seen the other. But that's just because I'm still kind of newish, I guess, to the NWF, especially during the pandemic when nobody was wrestling. So my friend Randy, who I mentioned before, he's been watching the NWF now for over 20 years. So he always catches me up on, oh yeah, that guy, right there, he used to be unified champion. Oh, that guy there, he's like the Grand Slam champion. Oh, that one there. And then they were a tag team, blah, blah, blah. And if you watch the I'm the Man documentary, yeah, he's on that one. And I'm like, wow. So I think somebody at the NWF needs to hire Randy as a historian because, he knows it all just off the top of his head. And one of these days, Dwalen's going to come up here and he's actually going to meet Randy in person. We can all hang out and watch some wrestling. But it's going to be Outlaw Matt Stevens and Brody Cormick. Now, have you had the opportunity to meet these 2 gentlemen?
No, unfortunately not. I'm looking forward to this Saturday to meet them.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
And because I've seen Matt Stevens in person, but for some reason I remember the very first NWF show I ever went to was in Fairfield at the UAW Hall when they were still going there. He was actually part of that show because he has a look that you don't forget. So but as far as like some of the other matches, I just want to kind of get your outlook on these matches. Maybe a prediction or 2.
Okay.
And I'm just going right off the poster. And Rex versus Chiron.
That's Chiron easily. Have you seen that guy? He's massive.
Yeah.
He's the only guy I see body slam Rex.
He did. Yeah, Dwaylen, that was, he actually picked Rex up, and dumped him.
Wow.
That dude is built.
Yeah. And Rex, the other day, they listed him at 6'5", 375, something like that. So, he's not a small guy.
No, that's not a small man.
For the, you know what? I'll do that one last because I'm pretty sure that sounds like a main event match. 6-man match. MCE against Chris Lotus, Swinger, your buddy, and Pompano Joe.
Obviously, I go with MCE on this one. They're definitely the bigger, badder trio in this matchup. Plus, they're also a unit as a team. You got 3 guys together who they might be wrestling together, but they never actually function as a team like that together. So I'm going to go with the team aspect with MCE.
Yeah, I kind of figured when you referred to Noah as a dweeb or some people as dweebs, I'm like, he's been hanging around MCE. So
they might have sent me a few dollars or 2.
You might want to check them dollars, check the faces on him. So
yeah, I think I saw Demis's face on one of them.
Before or after the tooth incident?
Oh, after.
After? Okay. I was there that night. That was it wasn't funny, but it was. But
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, we were
all last.
I was helping look for the tooth afterwards, so we never did find it, unfortunately.
Wait, hold on. We did find it actually.
Did you?
A few weeks later, yes, we found for the following week, we found it in the Warlock's mask.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it.
So you know what? That means Sean Evans was right. He said maybe it broke off when he collided with Warlock's big head.
Yeah.
I think it's what happened.
Oh, so next match, they should advertise this as a grudge match because it pretty much is a grudge match. Joshua and Andrew Reed.
Oh, definitely Joshua.
You think
Yes.
Joshua's got that one?
Yeah, I think he does. He's had his number the past couple times. Plus, I think Joshua doing the GTS is way better than what Andrew does. So,
Honestly, you probably don't want to hear this. I just want to see Andrew Reed. He does that sweet moonsault.
oh, I've definitely taken that moonsault before.
No fun.
It's no fun. It's beautiful when he's doing it, but not when he collides into you.
That is true.
That's
yeah.
when the fun stops.
We have a rematch from the Spooktacular, and the Riley Matthews and Nikki Victory.
Ooh,
Yeah. So I mean, that's
a tough one. I might have to go with experience and go with Nikki Victory on this one.
Yeah, because I mean, she keeps going back and forth to AEW.
Yep.
AEW Dark.
Yep.
And of course, I know she does other bookings, and but Riley, she's been like traveling like West Virginia. She went up to Canada.
She's been everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot. I follow her on Twitter, and I see all the time she's posting stuff,
and she's only 19 years old and already done that.
That's crazy.
So,
right.
But like I said, I assume this is the main event, and this is the NWF title match. James, don't call me Jimbo Cross, and Star Rider.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see a new like NWF champion because like, after he lost the unified title, he's definitely out for like the top gold in the business. So I think he's going to do anything he can. He's got Bones on his side. He's got Savannah Sweet by his side. It's just a numbers game at that point.
Oh, that's true. And both of them, I like to see Savannah Sweet in the ring more because I think if you haven't seen her wrestle, she's another up and comer that's doing really well. I don't know a lot about Bones though.
No, I think it's a very like talented trio they got going on there.
Yeah,
they're secretly good. I can tell you that.
Okay, they kind of low play everything.
Yeah, they work more as a unit, not so much as singles. But when they're single, they actually are pretty solid.
Okay, and those are the only matches, obviously, besides the Dozer Memorial Battle Royal, which there is no roster or lineup listed yet for that. Yep. So I will expect to see some names we probably haven't seen in a bit, and see some names that we're maybe like yourself. I mean, and I mean, I could just take a guess on some of the other ones that are going to be in it, just because I've been to enough NWF shows. And we've interviewed quite a few in the roster, even though it's been a little bit. It was like bam, bam, we were just knocking them off, and then just life kind of happened, and we weren't able to do a lot of interviews for a bit, and so. And what is on your shirt there, sir?
Oh, this is a Necro Goblicon. You ever heard of those guys?
I have not.
They're like a goblin metal band. The lead singer goes around making goblin noises. I saw these guys twice in Dayton, Ohio. They are something else. You haven't checked them out. They are very good.
Yeah, because that was we were going to start asking you some more personal questions next. But before we even do that, Dwaylen, do you have any more of the wrestling questions?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Cool.
So you're talking about what? Okay, part of your nice hair is actually covered with the name. What's the full name there? Goblin
Necro Goblicon. You know the Necronomicon?
Yeah. Necro Goblin.
It's like that. Yeah.
So you're also in at least one band.
Yes. Yes, my band Unrivaled. That's the only band I'm in right now at the moment.
Okay. And you said you can find it on Spotify. On Spotify.
Everywhere.
We can find it on Spotify.
Unrivaled, Bandcamp, Apple Music, anywhere that's streaming music, you can find us.
Oh, good name of a band. What do you think, Dwaylen? Unrivaled?
Yeah. Yep. I like that.
Yeah, that's one of those that kind of makes you wonder, man, why hasn't anybody ever picked that up? That's a great name, actually.
Do you play guitar, drums?
I play guitar and sing.
Okay, cool.
Yes. We're a 4-piece band in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Like I said, I mean, he's, Chris Jericho's got to step down and he's got to pass it on,
Yep.
Somebody's got to fill those shoes.
Yep. And I know you've played bass in the past as well.
Yes, I played bass for bands that like Sense of Motion, Solar Flare, and Flipside were the 3 big ones I played bass for.
Okay. Metal?
Yeah, well, Solar Flare was like a traditional heavy metal, like Iron Maiden, kind of Judas Priest kind of thing.
Hmm.
Synth Motion was more like modern, like kind of like Bullet for My Valentine, Escape the Fate. And Flipside was like my first like pop punk band I was ever in high school. I was like Green Day and stuff like that.
Okay. So when you're well, you said you haven't traveled very far, but like when you're driving from like Cincinnati, to
Mhm.
Mount Orab, because I mean that's not a short drive. I mean that's at least a
No, it's
45.
not.
Yeah, I mean
It's 54 for me. Yeah, yeah.
54 minutes. Okay. So what's on your playlist in your car when you're driving to somewhere like Mount Orab?
I
Is it
listen to
metal?
full albums. It's all yes, usually metal. I listen to like the past weekend. I turned on Rust in Peace by Megadeth.
Okay.
That was what I was listening to on the way up. And on the way
Oh,
back, I think I went with like Sum 41. I think it was Chuck the Green album.
Mm.
okay. So you pretty much stay with the metal, or do you listen to anything else? Because your ring entrance music, like I said, and it's George Michael.
George Michael of Wham.
Yep. I
Mm.
do a
No,
Careless Whisper.
I'll listen to anything. I honestly like. I mainly stay with like metal, punk kind of stuff like that. But I do like have an ear for like pop music, anything that's like got a good melody. Really, I love a good melody in a song. Like one of my
Well,
guilty pleasures is actually Taylor Swift.
well, you know what? I've actually, I mean, I don't have any of her albums. I think I have like one song downloaded, and that was for my daughter because she loved the song "Love Story."
Hmm.
But Taylor Swift, she writes her own songs. She actually can
Hmm.
play her own instruments. I mean,
Yep.
Hmm.
as a musician, I mean, I have a lot of respect for that.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, it may not be into her music, but and eventually somebody's got to tell her, look, Taylor, all these guys, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
it
you
should be.
could be the problem.
Yeah, there's a common denominator here, and it's always what you see in the mirror. But
Yeah.
she is very talented, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
apparently it crashed Ticketmaster. There's all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff going on
Yes.
about
Yep.
that right now. Oh, but Dwaylen, so far, only one person has been able to beat Dwaylen as far as like the most eclectic like music collection. Because
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I'm mostly metal, but I mean, I can still listen to some. Dwaylen's is all over the place.
Yeah.
Um,
It's everywhere.
yeah, because
Like
we talk about
my playlist will go from bluegrass to rap to pop, R&B, country,
Mm.
metal, just all over the place.
Truly everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's only one who's actually been able to have a little bit more eclectic. Joe Pro James came close, but no.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
But Titan, when he told
Yeah.
us his playlist, we were like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, his
Really?
was
Yeah.
yeah,
I was like, I thought I listened to everything
yeah,
until I talked to him.
yeah. So another Cincinnati native
Mhm.
question: Gold Star Skyline.
Skyline.
Has anybody actually said Gold Star?
No, everybody has said Skyline. I haven't
Yeah.
heard anybody that we've asked that question to. It's always Skyline.
Mhm.
Well, Roger said both. He just likes all Cincinnati chili,
Right.
But we have not
But
heard anybody say,
nobody's just picked Gold Star.
yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
nobody, definitely nobody. We don't even if they say something else, they'll say, oh, I mean, I'd be kind of surprised. Nobody's going to say like Camp Washington chili because
I
I
was
know
just gonna. I
that's
was just
another one that's
thinking
really
about that. That's a
popular.
real good one.
That it is.
Yes.
But I think about it, I've known one person, a not wrestler, who liked that one, and because he used to go there as a kid, and
Yeah.
he was actually one of my supervisors in the Air Force, and after I retired, we met them at Camp Washington Chili.
Yes.
That's
That
where
one's
they wanted to
very good.
go. Yep. So yeah,
I
well,
mean, you gotta go with Skyline. I mean, MJF name dropped it on Dynamite, so
he did.
Yeah.
He did twice actually. The first time he did it, he said Skyline sucks, and then the second time he came back and was like, you know what? I take that back. He said I
That's
yeah,
had
pretty
it.
good.
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, so and honestly, I mean, I can't think of any other thing because we already know he's a Bengals fan.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
um, they actually won. I watched that game yesterday, and even though I'm part of the Raider Nation and Dwayne's part of the Packer Nation, and neither
Mhm.
one of them are doing that great. I mean,
Terrible, just
yeah,
terrible.
like second week of
Yeah.
the season, they were already both mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I
Yeah,
mean, they were
yeah.
bad. But Raiders beat Denver yesterday. They actually swept Denver this year.
Really?
That's incredible.
Yep. But I will pull for Cincinnati to win as long as they're not playing the Raiders.
Yep.
And my son, I mean, of course, he wasn't born here, but I mean, he's lived here for, we moved here when he was 2. But my wife is from here, so everybody, of course, last year especially, it's all about who day, and you got to admit on Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, it was kind of cool, walk into Dollar General, after church, and people just
everyone,
the people didn't even know each other. Who day, see, man, who day,
it was definitely a different feeling last year. I couldn't explain it, but it was definitely different.
Well, they went from not having won a playoff game since Dwaylen and I were in high school.
Yeah.
So to
all
all
or
sudden,
nothing.
It was like bam, bam. They went to and almost won.
Yeah.
Like
one play away. If you had one lineman get Aaron Donald, we win that game.
Yep. And so Dwaylen, do you have any more questions before we bid our new friend a farewell?
What do you have a favorite band? If so, who would it be?
I go back and forth on this one. I've always been like a huge fan of My Chemical Romance, but I go back and forth with Rise Against as well. Those like 2 that were super important to me growing up.
Okay.
They kind of like, that was like the first like alternative kind of style bands that like did something different. I never like, because like in 7th grade, like I didn't know anything about music until I found out about these 2 bands. So they've always been like a special place in my heart for those 2.
Okay.
On the metal side, I think my favorite metal band is probably gonna be like Iron Maiden. It's definitely there.
Going back to some of the classics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Maiden's awesome.
Oh yeah. And
I saw them live before the pandemic.
Really?
Yep, at Riverbend. That was an incredible show.
Oh man. Because last year I saw it was Hatebreed, Trivium, Lamb of God, and Megadeth. They're
I remember that.
Yep. That was a great. I actually took my son. He was almost 11, and he still talks about that. He's like, especially Lamb of God, because he it was basically the Lamb of God show closed by Megadeth.
You're right.
Yeah. And Megadeth still did good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean Lamb of God. I mean they owned it that night. And
they're very good live.
Yeah, I mean, and all 4 of those bands did just absolutely fantastic. So
it's a killer lineup, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But and Joanne and I, we've always joked and said that we became friends because we were always, we came to school wearing the same AC/DC t-shirt back in school.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's true. I mean, we had the same AC/DC t-shirt, and sometimes we'd both be wearing. We never planned it like that. It just kind of happened. I'm like, he's got good taste. I like him.
Yeah.
But do you have any last words? Do you want to promote anything else that you have coming up besides? Obviously, I'm going to see you this weekend at the anniversary show, and I'll see you again in January when it's going to be you and Tiny Tim again.
Yes, like they announced that. Yeah, so we have the anniversary show, of course, this Saturday, the 26th, but we also have the Thanksgiving Eve show for the Future Stars, where I'll be going against Jagger Wood in our, might be the last match. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's just another Thanksgiving show that we'd like to promote, get as many people as can into Bone Crushers, prove that the Future Stars are just as good, if not better, than some of the guys on the main roster.
Honestly, I forget that you're Future Stars, so you haven't been doing it that long, because they are so good, dude. Dwaylen, I mean,
Steve tells me all the time, how good y'all are.
Yep.
It all comes back to the Roger training.
Yeah,
like he's literally the best around the area. Like the ability to pick up on things and like how the way he teaches, everyone gets quick, everyone learns it quick. It's real good. It's very good.
Well, I mean, he takes it seriously, and you can tell he instills that in his students because, the matches are good, and everybody, it's just it's kind of hard to put in words, to be honest with you. So but like I said, I will see you then at least on Saturday. I don't know if I'll be able to make it Wednesday because that is Thanksgiving Eve. It all depends on what's going on with the family. So, but until I see you again, and to you as well, Dwaylen.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep. Good night, and God bless.
God bless.
You too.